Welcome back to my podcast, which has now evolved into a traveling, park, nature, I don't even know what podcast, where I just share what I'm feeling and what I'm thinking and what I think needs to be shared from a spiritual plane. And what I'm feeling lately is this message of being gentle to ourselves and being soft and very, very slow. So we can't release blockages, we can't release any sort of clogged energy when we're very anxious or when there's a lot of pressure on us. So we can only release energy and blockages when we're relaxed, when we're being gentle, when we're being kind to ourselves. And everyone says, oh, you had a glow up, you look great, your career is good. And I'm going to give you my secret recipe right now. My secret recipe is to treat yourself like an actual infant, like you were just born. We're all very sensitive beings, so this idea of putting all this pressure on ourselves, it doesn't really make sense anymore. And the only thing that I found that was able to heal me and was able to release those blockages was treating myself like a baby and feeding myself the foods that you would feed a little child, the organic foods, listening to the vibrations that would nourish little baby's ears, or reading books in a slow way that would teach almost like my baby soul how to live again, how to live in a different, totally different plane of existence. And a lot of people are beginning to tap into this spiritual plane of existence, and it can be also a lot of pressure when you're struggling in the material, but you're having all of this beautiful energy and these insights and these, psychic visions in the spiritual, but in the material, you're like not doing so well. Like you're not getting a job, you don't have finances. And that's a part of the process too. Like when people wake up in the spiritual, often it's because there's some type of material loss, a loss of an attachment that triggers this deep awakening. So when you are experiencing that awakening, honestly close the door to the material for a little bit and tap into the spiritual. And maybe that's a year or two of like no dating, no alcohol, no this, no that. Maybe you're taking a loss on your salary. Maybe you're taking a loss on having fun, because you are really being tasked with nourishing yourself and nurturing yourself as if you were a little tiny baby. And this form of self-care, it's not just physical, it's a very deep mental practice where you honor yourself as that innocent life form that needs to be taken care of, that needs to be supported, that needs to be taught how to operate in a way that serves you. And I just started reading a book that came into my field about domestication. It's Don Miguel Ruiz, and how we are domesticated to believe certain things, and then our personalities and the way we behave is basically just domestication. So when you wake up in the spiritual, you notice all the ways in which you were domesticated. And sorry, there's cars. It's loud. It's like an actual park. I'm in the middle of Brooklyn. So when we wake up, we kind of start to release all of that domestication and make space for just raw existence, raw presence, raw being, raw food, raw connection. Like everything becomes very raw and sensitive, and it has this like light vibration to it. Like people say I have a very light aura because I live in a very, very sensitive, hypersensitive way where I'm attuned to the vibrations, I'm attuned to people's emotions, I'm attuned to what's going to happen in the future, I'm attuned to will I sleep well, I'm attuned to all of these things because that's the spiritual plane of existence. And many of us were taught, oh, you're neurodivergent if you're sensitive, there's a problem with you if you require certain circumstances to focus, ADHD. But the truth is that we're all very, very sensitive beings. Some people just mask it very well, and they're able to put themselves through high pressure situations and to kind of put their self-care aside and to focus on the goal and to make it through. But you can't live like that. That's not a sustainable way to live. Maybe in a high pressure situation once in a while, but eventually you realize, like, why am I living like this? I can be peaceful. I can be in a park. I can be doing something I love. I can be creating for an audience. I can be nurturing my body. I can be dressing how I want to dress and not dressing like social media trends, whatever. Like waking up, like, how do I want to dress for me? Not for the male gaze, not to fit in with like your guy friends, whatever it is. Like, being sensitive to life radically changes your lifestyle, and it gives you this like softer touch to how you take care of your house, how you take care of your body, how you take care of your friendships. And that gentle approach will give you the greatest joy possible. It will give you so much happiness. And from that place is where those beautiful creative ideas, that beautiful poetry, the invites to events, like I cannot tell you, like when I started to attune to the softer vibrations and living in New York City, like literally in the middle of the city, working in the city, going to school in the city, I had to learn spiritual strategies to manage city life. And as a healer, I do think that that's my kind of forte, like managing a high vibration, a beautiful existence connected to nature in the middle of the city. Because I never really left. Like I went to retreats, I went to events, but I kind of always stayed in the city. And it's always been a very magical place for me. Like I've met some amazing healers, met some today. On my journey, like somehow these doors open up where I'm in spaces that provide tremendous amounts of healing. So if you're in the city and you're like, I need to get out to have a spiritual experience, you really don't. That spiritual experience is existing beyond your material environment. It's actually in the psychic realm. You're able to connect to those experiences wherever you are, regardless of kind of that structure of this is a retreat, this is an event, this is a spiritual person. Like those identities, like I truly believe that everybody's able to experience that joy, that how do you explain? I don't even know how to explain it. It's like a feeling of like your open-heartedness that comes with being first calm, then having all your blockages cleared. So it's a lot of work and healing that needs to happen for you to have that light in your eyes again, to feel like, okay, whatever happens, like I'm alive, I'm fine. Like these are kind of the steps and stages, and it's repetitive. It always happens. Like I go back into my ego all the time of like rushing, blasting techno music, whatever I'm doing that's, you know, triggering my nervous system in a negative way. Like, and it's okay to have a few vices like that. It's totally okay to have a few vices like that. But just know that wherever you're at in life and you see these people like happy and thriving and walking in the park, like you can have that in 2 years if you want to. It's not unattainable. You can have that lifestyle in 2 years if you really want to. And it really starts with your belief systems, with your ideology, and how you've programmed your intellect to connect to the spiritual world. A lot of people have a negative relationship with the spiritual world. They see it as woo-woo. They see it as a lot of people have negative experiences with healers in the spiritual world who take their power, which I have plenty of experiences with bad healers as well, and psychics. So that's definitely going to be a different conversation that I want to start. I just want you to know that like even right now, in 2 weeks you can have a totally different experience. Overnight you can have a totally different experience. Like our experience is always shifting. It's very fluid, it's very flexible. But you can manage it with your intention. And the more intentional you become and the more you connect your intention to your personal power, you're able to shift vibrations and states of consciousness at will. Like when I wake up and I don't feel good, I say immediately, I want to feel good. I set the intention. In 1 hour, I feel good. Or it's simple. In 2 weeks, I want to have a job. In 2 weeks, I will have a job. That's connecting your intention to your personal power. What usually blocks people from intention, the blockage between intention, which is heart, and personal power, which is belly, is confidence. So many people are blocked with self-doubt, insecurity, this domestication or conditioning that happens throughout our upbringing. And once you conquer your confidence and your fears and your self-doubt, you're essentially going to immediately manifest the reality that your heart wants for you. And that might be relationships, that might be career, that might be your artwork, that might be your design. But until you confront whatever's blocking your confidence, you will not be able to project a reality that is healthy for you, that is good for you, that makes you happy. You're going to continue to face defeat. You're going to continue to face people who make you feel weak. So until you find that strength, which I really truly believe that life and the way we experience life is our confidence, not just in self, but in a higher power. And that confidence in self, when it's connected to confidence in a higher power, it's gonna blow you away how fast your reality changes. And I used to look at those people like, oh, they're saying that because they're in Hawaii and they have alkaline water. Like, no, this is New York City live, and you can have that experience. So if you haven't kind of started a meditation practice, my advice is to just go out in nature and walk slowly. There is no better meditation that's not so formal, sit up straight and relax, like it's not a classroom. And when people go to a meditation class or like a healing thing, it can start to feel like that classroom feel, which honestly triggers most of us. Like nobody wants to be like told like sit down, do this, do that. Like I get triggered by that too, which is why I'm so experimental and I just go out and do weird shit all the time. But I don't know, like go to a crystal store, pick up a book, go talk to somebody who's in a spiritual space, in a yoga class. Like, oh, a good question is, how did you get started with this? And people are more than happy to tell you how they got started on their own journey. And that's kind of how I kind of made sense of everything. Like if you're asking a seasoned healer how they got started, what brought them onto the journey and what they learned, like you have 3 beautiful answers that can help you to find direction. Don't be afraid to ask healers for advice and healers for wisdom, because that's what they're there for. Like I'm so happy to talk to anybody who comes across my path about anything, that's blocking them, any questions they have, and I'm always open to learning from other healers as well. So it's a very open and free space where you can really ask those deep mental questions. And there's honestly, like with spiritual people, there are no limits. We'll talk about anything. We really will go there and we will have those conversations. And like a lot of my friends, like there are no topics that are off limits with us. And I think it's so beautiful because it creates in the world and in cities, it creates a vibration of just like, why was I so scared about being this person, about having this side of my story, if people are so open and supportive of hearing it? And creating spaces like this is just like really beautiful. And I'm so happy to see all of those shifts happening all over the world. I think we're on the right track in terms of healing. I think, and you know what? I picked the worst industry to be a healer in, beauty, because people tend to be more superficial, more, all about the face, all about the sexual appeal. And I think I picked that industry for a reason, because healing the feminine side of the story, healing the woman, is all about facing superficial, vanity-based constructs. And I definitely have faced it on my own. And something I realized this morning, I'm going to like kind of close off on this thought, is like, even if you're doing your makeup or you're doing your skincare or you're dressing or you're putting your outfit on, do it from a deep spiritual place of meaning, so that you feel at the end of the day, like I really put my heart into this. This is who I really want to be. This is what I truly embody. Like the way you go food shopping, like embody that. Like do it from a deep spiritual place. Dating, do it from a deep spiritual place. Everything you do it from a deep spiritual space, even if it is traditionally superficial. Like driving a car for me is a spiritual experience. Like all of these like things in the material world can become part of the spiritual plane as well, if you have the right intention that's connected to your power that you have found by facing your self-confidence blockages. And I would like to be creating more podcasts, so stay tuned and follow my TikTok or my Instagram for poetry. I'm shifting my focus a little bit more to fashion, beauty, lifestyle poetry, because why not? And also like I could do whatever I want because it's my pages, and I feel like that's amazing. So I also want to empower people to combine their interests on their own platforms and just be that like deep spiritual thing through every aspect, every category of life, every angle And you're going to start to see that, yeah, everything's connected, but also you don't have to be any one thing in any specific place. Like, you can be a healer in the beauty space. You can be a yoga teacher in the finance space. You can be this and that space. Like, once interests start to merge, we start to notice that people have more freedom and more space to be themselves and more capacity to have that deep spiritual meaning in every aspect of life.